Hello friends, good morning everyone, good morning all. Uh, Actually sorry that last week I was really unable to take the classes, but I uploaded the day 8 part 2 value of supply topic. I have uploaded, and please go through the concept of whatever we have discussed in that part 2 video, day 8 part 2 video. So you can go through that. It's hardly 2 hours video, 2 hours something video. You can go through that. And I have not discussed the practical questions mainly for the purpose of doing it in the live, because only when you know the concept, the question and answer we can discuss, so that you will also participate in the discussion. So mainly for that reason, the problematic part related to value of supply I have not discussed, and that we will solve together. Okay. And today, yes, super. So some of you have finished watching, great, and all others also. So please complete watching that, and then we will proceed to the discussion of problems and solutions related to that. And now what I am doing is that I am starting with a new topic, that is input tax credit. So please put a message to the students in the group. Someone please take an initiative and put in the telegram, and please inform to your friends also, because usually this is a topic which many students will find it difficult. So rather than doing recording, so I just wanted to do it in a live, so that even for you also you will be feeling it comfortable. For that reason, so please inform to your friends also, and we will be proceeding to the topic discussion. Okay, so input tax credit, yes, I have recovered to a greater extent. So you are seeing me now, so you are seeing me smiling, you are seeing me taking classes with energy and vigor. So I have recovered. Okay, so thanks to all for your support. And now we will be proceeding to the discussion related to input tax credit. Every attempt, mark my words, every attempt they are asking question on input tax credit for 8 marks. That much important topic it is, 8 to 10 marks. If you are getting a paper, taxation paper part 4B without input tax credit, return the paper and come. That is not a tax exam, you have went for some other exam. Okay, that much important topic it is, trust me. Okay, so I'm not joking. So it is that much important topic, and just 3 sections only we have. 3 sections, that's it. Only 3, section 16, 17 and 18. And these 3 sections are only there, but at CA final level when you see, there are 6 sections, but just half of that only is there. And that too at CA intermediate level, more of the discussion is more of onto that's this side of computation part only. That too, computation of net GST payable by utilizing the ITC. Repeatedly that kind of questions are only given, but we will see all types of concepts and all types of questions also. So now have a look into this. First we need to know what is the procedure for availment of credit. Now it has changed. What is the procedure for availment of credit? So I have given few steps that is involved. Have a look into this. So these are the various steps which are involved. Okay, first step, ITC recognized in the books. Okay, for example, say there is one trader. That trader is making purchases from 4 different suppliers. So please concentrate here, very important. There is a trader who is making purchases from 4 different suppliers, and what the trader will do, first step is that the trader will pass a purchase entry and will recognize the input tax credit in his books. Say purchase account debit, input tax credit account debit to A, to B, to C, to D, like that. Each and every supplier name he will mention as the creditor, and they will recognize the purchases. That can be inputs or input services or capital goods. Sir, in input tax credit chapter, our focus is on mainly inward supplies, not on outward supplies. On inward supplies, because what is input tax credit? What is input tax credit? Remember today, input tax credit means GST paid on purchases. So what is input tax credit? What is input tax credit? GST paid on inward supplies. GST paid on inward supplies is known as input tax credit. Clear? So we will proceed to that. So I'm writing the notes because someone has requested me, sir, you are not at all writing notes. Maybe you are very much interested in my writing. So fine, I'll write it. Because some students have said, sir, in the last batch when you took fast track, at the time you have written a lot, but now you are not at all writing. Sir, that's why I gave a book where I have written everything. Last time the book was small, I did not give much information. But this time I gave a lot of information in the book itself. That's why I'm not writing. So don't compare. Every batch is a separate, unique only. Okay. So that batch was good. This batch was not good. Okay. Refer to that batch also. It's okay. Because there is no big change. From November 20 to May 21. You can. Okay. Now, what is that we have discussed? First, input tax credit means what, sir? What is the meaning of input tax credit? Input tax credit means GST paid on inward supply is known as input tax credit. What is input tax credit? GST paid on inward supply. GST paid on inward supply. GST paid on inward supply is known as input tax credit. Okay. So GST paid on inward supply is known as input tax credit. Sir, what is inward supply, sir? What is inward supply? What is the meaning of inward supply? Inward supply is divided into three. Inputs, input services and capital goods. Inward supply is divided into three. Inputs, input services and capital goods. So what is the meaning of inputs? Input services and capital goods. Very simple definition. We don't have big definition here. So any goods purchased and capitalized in the books is known as capital goods. You purchase some goods, capitalize it in the books, that is capital goods. Whether it is to be capitalized or not, you ask your statutory auditor. Very simple. So for GST purpose, it is very easy. Any goods purchased by a person and capitalized in their books is known as capital goods. If they are not capitalizing it to the balance sheet, if they are not capitalizing it, and if they are charging it to P&L, then it will be known as inputs. Goods purchased, capitalized, capital goods. Not capitalized is inputs. Any services received is known as input services. These three should be used in the course or furtherance of business. These inputs, input services and capital goods should be used or intended to be used. Okay. Used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. These three used or intended to be used. Intended, used or intended to be used. To be used. What is the meaning of used? Already we are using it. Intended to be used. We are not using it now. We will be using it in future, but we purchase it now. Okay. In the course or furtherance of business. In the course or furtherance. In the course or furtherance of business. In the course or furtherance of business is known as inward supplies. Okay. So GST paid on inward supply is known as input tax credit. So what is the meaning of input tax credit? Input tax credit is nothing but GST paid on inward supply, that is known as input tax credit. And that GST paid on inward supply is divided into three: inputs, input service and capital goods. Capital goods means any goods which are purchased and capitalized in the books is known as capital goods. And any goods which are purchased and charged to P&L is known as inputs. Any service received is known as input services. These three are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. Clear? Now, what is that I was discussing? Manner of availment of credit. How the credit will be availed now. What is the procedure for that? That you need to know. Then only you can understand the provisions better. Okay. So what is that I said? I just gave you, a procedure for the purpose of availment of credit. First, I am taking a trader. There is a trader, and this trader is making purchases from 4 different suppliers. Okay. There are 4 different suppliers, and this trader is making purchases from those 4 suppliers. So Mr. A is one supplier, Mr. B is another supplier, Mr. C and Mr. D. So from 4 different suppliers, this trader is making purchases. Now, what is the value of the purchases? See, just for example sake, I am just giving you, because last attempt for January 21 and November 20, they tested this. That's why, okay. So what is happening? This trader is making purchases, na? So what is the value of the purchases? Let's see. Let's see the value of the purchases made by these people. So there is some purchases made, some GST, okay, whatever is the GST, that is whatever is the purchases that is made by this trader, the trader will be availing the ITC. The trader will be availing ITC. So what is the ITC? So let's take, here the GST is 1000, here the GST is 500, here the GST is 900, here the GST is 2700. This is the GST paid, okay. GST paid on purchase. This is GST paid on purchase. So what trader will do as availment of ITC in his books here? ITC in books. ITC in books. How much credit he will take in the books? That's the first step. So ITC in the books will be, so 1000 plus 500 plus 900 plus 2700. Not visible. Why not visible? Please check. 1000 plus 500 plus 900 plus 2700. So therefore 5100. 5100. Voice is lagging. Now check here. Now can you check and let me know? So there is a trader. Okay, there is a trader who is making purchases from 4 different suppliers, and this is the GST paid on purchase. This is the GST paid on purchase, and the trader will avail the ITC in books 5100. But what these people are doing, they will be filing a GSTR1. So ABCD, these people will file a GSTR1. That GSTR1 filed by these people, let's see what they have done. Mr. A filed GSTR1. In that GSTR1, what Mr. A did, he reported only 500 rupees in GSTR1. In GSTR1, GSTR1 is a return which is filed by a person reporting their outward supplies. Whatever is my outward supply, that data will be reported in GSTR1. So what is that? 500 rupees is reported. Actually, how much it should have been reported? 1000 rupees it should have been reported. But how much is reported? Only 500. Okay. So if there is any voice lag, please refresh it. You will be properly getting. So there was some small glitch somewhere in the middle. So because of that reason only, now it will be proper for everyone. It is coming properly. So if you have any issue, do refreshing. Okay. So GSTR1, Mr. A will file report only 500 instead of 1000. Mr. B did not report this information in their GSTR1 at all. They did not report at all in the GSTR1. What Mr. C did is that in GSTR1 properly it was reported as 900, and Mr. D in GSTR1 they reported it as 2000. In the place of 700 they reported it as 2000. Okay. Now, so actually what GST network will do, so step 1 is that ITC recognized in the books is this. Now what GST network will do, they will see how much the suppliers have reported as sales and GST, that will be taken. By taking that, they will be preparing a statement called as GSTR2A. They will be preparing a statement called as GSTR2A. That will be collated by GST network, and will be making available to the trader, and this statement will be called as GSTR2A and now 2B. So they have added a new statement called as 2B, 2A as well as 2B. Okay. So GSTR1 is a return which is filed by the supplier reporting their outward supply. Based on that, that data will be coming into GSTR 2A or 2B, and that is the ITC reflected in GSTR 2A 2B. ITC in GSTR 2A 2B, how much is that ITC in 2A 2B? How much ever they have reported, that much only will come. So 500 plus 900 plus 2000, that comes to 3400. Only 3400 will be reflected in 2A 2B. Who will be giving this 2A 2B? This will be given by GST network. Sir, is it a return which we need to file? No. It is an auto-populated statement. It is an auto-populated statement. Okay. Auto-populated. It is an auto-populated statement which will be given by GST network to the trader. Now, this is the second step. What the trader will do now? He will compare between these two. So there is a comparison between these two, and accordingly the credit will be availed. So now a comparison will take place between these two numbers. These two numbers, a comparison will take place, and thereafter ITC will be availed in the books. ITC will be taken in 3B. ITC availed in GSTR 3B. ITC availed in GSTR 3B. How much is the ITC availed in GSTR 3B? So, listen, whatever credit we took in the books is of no use. That 5100 is of no use. How much credit we can take in 3B? 3400, which is the matched credit, plus 10%. Plus 10%. For your exam, you remember 10%. If anyone is appearing for November 21 exam, that 10% will be 5%. That 10 has changed to 5. So now it is 10% only. For your May 21 exam, which is happening in July, so it will be 10% only. So how much credit will be reported in GSTR 3B? 3400 plus 10% comes to 3740. So 3740 rupees will be recognized as credit in GSTR 3B. Okay. This is known as the reconciliation between GSTR 2A 2B and ITC in the books. So after doing reconciliation, so the credit will be taken, that is matched credit. Matched credit means how much is coming in 2A 2B plus 10% extra they will take, that is 3740. How much extra credit they have taken is only called as the provisional ITC. How much extra they took? 340 rupees they took as extra credit. So that extra credit will get matched in the subsequent months. Okay. Suppose if it is not matched, what will happen? So provisional ITC availed. How much is the provisional ITC availed? Provisional ITC availed. Provisional ITC availed. Availed means taking credit here. So 340 rupees is taken as provisional ITC. Provisional ITC 340 rupees is taken. Availed means taking credit. Extra 340 is taken. That should get matched. What if it is matching? Okay. What if it is not matching? Then whatever extra we have taken, the 10% will be reversed. By when it should be matching? By annual return. By the date we file annual return, it should be matching. Okay. See that series of the step. Step 1, ITC recognized in the books. Correct. Step 1, ITC recognized in the books. Then step 2, monthly matching. Monthly matching. So monthly basis we need to compare between GSTR 2A 2B and the ITC in the books. Okay. Then next, avail ITC in 3B. That's the third step. So we are taking ITC in 3B. That's the third step. How much ITC we can take in 3B? That is whatever is the matched ITC as per 2A 2B plus 10%. Plus 10% subject to maximum ITC as per books. What is that? Subject to maximum ITC as per books. Let's see one issue involved in this case. That is, if ITC reflected in GSTR 2A or 2B equals to rupees. What is the ITC as per books? 5100. Okay. 4800 is the ITC reflected in GSTR 2A 2B. Then what is the ITC availed in GSTR 3B? ITC availed in GSTR 3B. How much ITC will be availed in GSTR 3B? Can you please tell me? What you will do? You will take 4,800 plus you will add 10%. So that will be coming to 4,800 plus 10%. 4,800 plus 10%. So 5,280, like that you will write in exam. In exam you will write as 5,280. Sir, 3B you know na? 3B is a return where you will report your liability and credit and you will show what is the net GST payable. So that data, gross liability, input tax credit and net GST payable data is shown in 3B. So ITC, whatever you take in 3B is only the input tax credit, okay? 5,280. But this number is wrong. Why this number is wrong? Because the ITC as per books itself is only 5,100. When ITC as per books itself is 5,100 or based on invoices itself is 5,100, how you can take 5,280? Impossible. You cannot take 5,280. So therefore it is not correct. So maximum, it should be subject to maximum of what? Subject to maximum. How much? 5,100. Subject to maximum 5,100 only, not beyond that. Okay, if ITC reflected in 2A, 2B is 4,800, ITC availed in 3B will be 4,800 plus 10%, 5,280, but subject to maximum 5,100. So only 5,100 will be taken as credit. That is this point. So avail GST in 3, ITC in 3B, how much? So whatever is there in 2A plus 10% subject to maximum ITC as per books in step 1. Then thereafter what will happen? Annual reconciliation. What we did so far is monthly reconciliation. What will happen is annual reconciliation, step 4. That annual reconciliation is at the time of filing annual return. So what should have done? We have taken extra credit now. So in the previous case we have taken extra credit. How much? 340 we have taken as extra credit. So that should get matched by the time we file the annual return. What will happen if it is not matched? See step 5. Reverse the excess availed ITC. Suppose if it is not matching by the time we file the annual return, how much extra we took? 340 we took now. That will be reversed along with interest. But sir, how much interest, how to calculate interest, all these are not there for your exam, so don't worry. So just you need to write whatever is the credit availed. If it's not matched by the time we file annual return, then that ITC needs to be reversed, cancelled. Okay. Then suppose if it gets matched, how it will get matched? How this 340 gets matched? I'll tell you. Listen. What we will do, the trader will do, will call Mr. B. Will call Mr. B and say, bloody idiot, why you are not filing the return? File it GSTR 1, then only I will take the credit. Now Mr. B will say, I will not file, you go wherever you want to go. Now, what trader will do? Next time onwards, he will not purchase from Mr. B. Next time onwards, he will not purchase, but already whatever is purchased, gone. Gone. Okay, Govinda. So it is gone. You cannot take credit. Okay, suppose if Mr. B says, because he will lose a customer, na? If Mr. B says, sorry, I will file the return. Now he files a return. He reports it in the subsequent period. Now it will come in the GSTR 2A and that gets matched. It will come in GSTR 2A at a later point of time and now it gets matched. That is what I am telling. Whatever credit that you have taken in 3B, in future, before filing annual return, it should be matched. What is the time limit by which we file annual return? 31st December of the succeeding financial year, we should file an annual return. But till date, no one filed annual return on 31st December. So government keep on extending it. Some reason or other. First initial implementation, so they postponed it. Now because of COVID, they are postponing. And in future, I don't think so annual return will come. They will scrap the annual return itself. Okay. So therefore, this annual return, by the time we file annual return, we need to do this. Okay, checking. So that is this. Suppose if it matches, okay, whatever provisional you have taken is final, leave it. So these are the 6 steps we need to follow. Okay, so that's it here. Now in exam, what they will do, they will give a question and they will say this much is the ITC reflected in the invoices and this much is the ITC as per 2A, 2B uploaded by the suppliers. And now what you need to do, just to remember this formula, darlings, Just remember this formula, nothing else. This formula alone, if you remember, the same will be asked in exam. Okay, repeatedly 2 attempts asked, November 20 as well as Jan 21. So they will ask, that much only can be taken as credit. Okay. So now, that is 9C. Yes, 9C already scrapped. I'm not talking about audit report. Sir, first auto-populated in 2A and now 2A and 2B. Yes. Now it is coming in both 2A and 2B. I'll tell you the basic difference between 2A and 2B. Just try to understand. GSTR 2A is a dynamic document. GSTR 2A is a dynamic document. Whereas GSTR 2B is a static document. GSTR 2B is a static document. Okay. Sir, what does it mean? What does it mean? So it's a dynamic document. It's a dynamic statement. It's a dynamic statement. Whereas it is static statement. Static statement. What is dynamic means? Whenever supplier files GSTR1 or rectifies GSTR1, GSTR2 also gets rectified accordingly. Supplier rectifies GSTR1 at a later point of time. Supplier rectifies GSTR1. Supplier rectifies GSTR1 at a later point of time. So this month we already filed. So this month GSTR1 we can amend at a later point of time. Rectifies GSTR1 at a later point of time. Reflected in GSTR2A of recipient. Reflected in GSTR2A of recipient. Then, whereas GSTR2B is a static document, supplier rectifies GSTR1 at a later point of time. Supplier rectifies GSTR1 at a later point of time, not reflected in GSTR2B of recipient. Sir, for example, in this case you take, what has happened? So Mr. B did not report the transaction in GSTR1, but he filed GSTR1. Mr. B filed GSTR1, but he did not report the transaction in GSTR1. Now what he will do? He will report that in the subsequent months GSTR1 as amendment pertaining to 3 months before. Now I am reporting in GSTR1 under amendment. Now this information will not come in 2B. This information comes only in 2A. This information comes only in 2A because 2A is a dynamic document. And now we will know whether it is matching or not. So monthly matching, either 2A or 2B you can take and do matching. But thereafter matching should happen by the time we file annual return. That is possible only through 2A. This is the basic difference between 2A and 2B. Got it? So the difference between 2A and 2B is nothing but the supplier has reported the transaction at a later point of time. Because 2B will be generated only when supplier files a GSTR1 on time. But 2A contains the changes. Now both are useful. I'll tell you how. So now for July month you take 2B. Now for July month you take 2A. The difference, if there is anything difference is there, the difference is mainly because supplier would have reported the transactions at a later point of time. Okay. Now we are easily able to identify the changes. For that reason only we have 2A. Got it? Now these are all the amended portion. So which you need to know. So 2A and 2B etc. So that we have completed. So what is GSTR1? So I gave you this because actually this information will come in the returns chapter. but I have just given it now itself. So details of outward supply to be furnished by every registered person invoiced twice. Okay. So did I miss any question? Sir, if books and GST are 2A matched, then provisional ITC available or not? So when it is matches, why you take the provisional ITC? You will not take any provisional ITC when it is completely matches. So because maximum how much you can take, whatever is the invoices, that much credit only you can take. So that's what I gave as a formula. Then GSTR 2A based on GSTR 1 furnished by every supplier, recipient can generate a statement of inward supply in GSTR 2A auto-populated from GSTR 1 filed by the suppliers. Already we saw. And 2B is what? It's a new static month-wise auto-drafted statement for regular taxpayers introduced on the GST portal. It is just like 2A only but remains static. Okay. Then GSTR 3B. 3B I told you, it contains the details of GST liability, input tax credit and net liability. Then, sir, once we take the credit in 3B, from there where it will go? 3B is a return which we will file. In that we will show how much is the credit. From there where it will go? It will go to electronic credit ledger. Whatever is the balance in the electronic credit ledger, that can be used for payment of GST liability. Got it? Whatever is the balance in the electronic credit ledger can be used for payment of GST liability. Is it clear? Okay. So now that is this. GSTR 9 I told you, annual return which should be filed by every person, and by that time, so 3A, that is 3B and 2A should be matching. Okay, that already I told you. Unmatched ITC not to be reversed in the following cases. So now this matching concept and all is not applicable in two cases. What are they? 10% we can take even if it is not matching. Correct. 10% we can take even if it is not matching. Then GST paid under RCM. Under RCM, if we pay any GST, that can be taken as credit because it will not match. See, you are only paying GST. Why it will come in the supplier's GSTR1? Not possible because supplier is not paying GST. As a recipient, you are only paying GST. You pay GST under RCM and you take credit. Sir, same month we will take credit or next month we will take credit. This confusion many students will be having. Same month you take the credit. That is what even ICI also is doing for examination. Not only ICI, every professional body. So practically also you can take ITC in the same month. Okay. GST paid under RCM can be availed as ITC in the same month. Can be availed as ITC. Can be availed as ITC in same month. Can be availed as ITC in the same month. Understood? GST paid under RCM can be availed as ITC in the same month. Not an issue, and matching is not required. This is very, very important because while doing the problem solving, so whatever matched ITC plus 10% plus whatever GST paid under RCM, that can also be taken as credit. Okay. Remember, eligible ITC only you should take. Even blocked credits. There is something called as blocked credits. What is blocked credits? Blocked credits means there are some inward supplies on which you are not supposed to take credit. That is known as blocked credits. So blocked credits also will be reflected in 2A because GST portal don't know whether it is a blocked credit or not to you. For example, motor vehicles is blocked credit, and there is one person who purchases motor vehicle and he gives his GST and details. So supplier will put it in GSTR1. So that GST is coming in 2A. Can that be taken? No. How it can be taken? It's a blocked credit. It may come in 2A, but you should not take that. You should eliminate it. If there is any blocked credit, that should be eliminated. Understood or not? Fine. Now let's proceed to the next area, that is manner of utilization of credit. Please look into this in page number 172. Page number 172, have a look into this. Manner of utilization of credit. Manner of utilization of credit. But to understand this manner of utilization of credit, I am just giving you one example. Have a look into this illustration in the thereafter next page. Page number 173. Through example we will learn. Okay. So there is a person who is having gross liability, CGST 5000, SGST 5000, IGST 5000. Even credits also is there. Now, what does the first rule you should remember? Sir, CGST credit, SGST credit and UTGST credit, respective credit should be used for payment of respective liabilities only. Whereas IGST is not like that. IGST credit can be used for payment of any liability. Okay. So, can CGST credit be used for payment of SGST liability? Not possible. Whereas, can it be used for IGST liability? Yes, we can use it. Okay. So, what is that? A small matrix you should remember. I have CGST credit, SGST credit and UTGST credit. Okay. So, see this matrix. On inward supplies, I have credit of CGST, SGST, UTGST and IGST. Then on outward supplies, I have liability of okay, what? CGST, SGST, UTGST and IGST. This is my liability on the outward supplies, and this is the credit on inward supplies. Now, can I use CGST credit for payment of CGST liability? CGST credit for CGST liability? Yes. SGST credit for CGST liability? No, not possible. UTGST for CGST? Not possible. Can IGST credit be used for payment of CGST liability? Yes. Same way, SGST. So SGST, CGST credit cannot be used for payment of SGST liability, but SGST credit can be used for payment of SGST liability. Even IGST credit can be used for payment of SGST liability. Then next one, UTGST. So CGST and SGST credit cannot be used for payment of UTGST liability, but UTGST credit can only be used, and IGST credit can be used for payment of UTGST liability. Then what about IGST liability? Sir, any credit can be used for payment of IGST liability. Okay. Any credit can be used for payment of IGST liability. So that is the speciality of IGST. Now what are the 2 points that we need to remember? That is, first, there is no restriction in case of IGST. What does it mean? It means that CGST credit or SGST credit or IGST credit can be used for payment of IGST liability, and IGST credit can be used for payment of any liability. Whereas between CGST, SGST and UTGST, respective credits can be used for payment of respective liability. Is it clear? Respective credits can be used for payment of respective liability. Okay. So this only, some people already this joke is there, but I am just telling you that IGST is like a male and CGST is like his wife, and SGST, UTGST is like, his mom, that person's mom. IGST will adjust with his wife, CGST. IGST will adjust with his mom, SGST, UTGST. But mom and wife will never be adjusting, correct or not? So like that, you remember, okay? IGST can be adjusted with CGST, SGST or UTGST, but CGST cannot be adjusted with SGST or UTGST, SGST or UTGST cannot be adjusted with CGST. Done? Then, that is with respect to this, and already we understood this. That only I just gave as rule 1. There is no restriction with respect to IGST. That is, IGST credit can be used for payment of CGST liability or SGST liability, whatever it is. And same way, any credit can be used for payment of IGST liability. Between the others, respective credit should be used for payment of respective liability. Okay. Now, in this, can you tell me, when I have in this question, IGST credit 10,000, CGST credit 2,000, SGST credit 2,000. Can the 10,000 credit be used for payment of all three liabilities? Yes. The 10,000 credit can be used for payment of all three liabilities. That's what rule 1 says. Okay. Now, look into rule 2. Now, I need to know the priority. Which credit I should use for what first and then second, like that. I need to know the priority. That priority is given in rule 2 because now I have 10,000 of IGST credit. I can use it for CGST, I can use it for SGST, I can use it for IGST. But for which I should use first? That is given in rule 2, priority. IGST credit should be first used for payment of IGST payable and then for CGST or SGST or UTGST in any manner, any proportion. Okay. So therefore, now I have 10,000 rupees. The 10,000 rupees, first it should be used for what? 5,000. That 10,000 first use it for 5,000. Still how much you have? 5,000. That 5,000 can be used between CGST, SGST in any manner, any proportion. But ensure that the cash outflow is minimized. How, sir? That is, I have 5,000 rupees extra credit. IGST credit, I have 5,000 extra. I can use for CGST, SGST. But I should plan and use in such a way because there is already CGST, SGST credit. Now take a situation. I have 5,000 of IGST credit. Now that extra 5,000 of IGST credit I am using for CGST. Gone. Now SGST liability only is there. So 2,000 SGST credit I am using for SGST liability. Still 3,000 rupees SGST liability payable. But there is some unutilized CGST credit. Can that unutilized CGST credit 2,000 be used for 3,000? No. Why? Because CGST credit cannot be used for payment of SGST liability. For that reason, so what we should do? I'll give you a simple way. What is that? How much ever CGST, SGST credit is there, okay, beyond that only you distribute. What does it mean? How much CGST, SGST is there? 2,000 is there, na? Now 3,000, to that extent we can distribute, which means whatever is there 5,000, you just distribute it equally between CGST, SGST. That's a better alternative, easy alternative also. In exam, sir, depends. Okay, so depending upon the CGST credit and SGST credit, you see, and balance you can take from the IGST credit. Okay, but when the liability is equal, try to distribute it equally so that the cash outflow will not be 3,000, only 1,000. How? Previously, 2,000 credit we were carry forwarding and 3,000 liability we are paying. Now that problem will not happen. So only 1,000 rupees we will pay. How? 2,525 you distribute. So 2,525 when you distribute between CGST, SGST and even 2,000 of the respective credit is also there. Then 500 is only payable. Please see. So first I have 5,000 and 5,000. Then I used first 10,000, I paid 5,000 for IGST liability. Thereafter 5,000 I am using 2,500 for CGST, SGST. Thereafter whatever respective credits I am utilizing. So net liability is only 500. So I have given you what is the mistake that students usually do. So student may think that they can solve by using IGST credit for payment of GST, CGST alone. In that situation, so there is an excess credit of 2,000 and a liability of 3,000. Okay, that is not correct answer. So that's why I just gave you. You follow a thumb rule. What is that? Whatever is the liability ratio, CGST, SGST liability ratio, in the same ratio you distribute. But even other alternative answers also correct. Okay. Then, so that is this priority of IGST credit. Then sir, CGST, SGST and UTGST credit. First for its respective liability, then only for IGST liability. CGST credit I have both liability, CGST liability, IGST liability. First CGST credit used for CGST liability, then only use for IGST liability. Okay, like that. Then rule 3. Now listen, you may get a doubt. Sir, why should we do IGST first? First I will exhaust CGST, SGST and then I will touch IGST. That will be simple. No, that is not allowed. What they are telling is that you should first exhaust the IGST completely before touching CGST and SGST credit. Rule 3 you see. Before utilizing CGST and SGST credit of IGST should be completely exhausted. Okay. then only you touch the CGST, SGST. Sir, where are these rules given? These rules are given in section 49 subsection 5. Section 49 subsection 5. This is the manner in which you need to solve the answers. Okay. Then last rule. What is that last rule? I have all the credits, only one liability. So far what we have seen is multiple liabilities, single credit. Now what we are discussing is that multiple credits, only one liability called as IGST liability. All credits we have. Now which credit we should exhaust first? IGST. So for IGST liability, first to use IGST credit pa. Then CGST credit. Then SGST or UTGST credit. Now these principles anyhow we will be applying while solving the problems. So don't worry about this. At the end of this chapter, lot of questions are there. So that questions when we are solving, you will be able to understand this. Then the next one, section 16, conditions for availment of ITC. Now we are entering into input tax credit chapter. So far what we have seen is the practicality as to how do we compute the answers related to net GST payable. Now we are looking into the provisional part. Even that is also there in the provisions. But I just gave you that foundation premises first, and then you can understand section 16. Whenever a condition is given, what is the use of that condition, you can understand. Okay. First, section 16 gives conditions for availment of ITC. In that, section 16 subsection 1, what does it says? Two basic conditions. Only a registered person can avail ITC. Of course, an unregistered person cannot avail ITC. Na? Definitely a registered person only can avail ITC. Then, that inward supplies on which ITC to be availed should be used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. Used means used now. Intended to be used means used in future. In the course of business means for the existing business. Furtherance of business means we will be starting some business in future. For that, we have purchased it now. Then also you can take credit. So total 4 terms you should remember. Used, intended to be used, course or furtherance of business. 4 terms. Can you remember? Tell me what are the 4 terms? Used, intended to be used, course or furtherance of business. Okay. Then only ITC can be availed. These are the 2 basic conditions. So 16 subsection 1, 2 basic conditions. Only registered person can avail ITC and it should be used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. Then 16 subsection 2, 4 additional conditions. 4 additional conditions. Number 1, you should be in the possession of tax paid document. Possession means what? You should be having the tax paid document. Only then you can take the ITC. Okay. You should be in the possession of the tax paid document. Then number 2, should have received the goods or services. First you should have the tax paid document. Invoice basically. You should have received the goods or services. Now listen carefully. This month, say I received, like I got the invoice today. Today is what? 31st May, I got the invoice. And tomorrow I am receiving the goods. When can I take ITC? May month or June month? I can take ITC in June month only. I cannot take ITC in May month. Why? Because in May month I have not received the goods. In May month I have not received the goods or services, so I cannot take ITC. Okay. Should have actually received the goods or services. Tax should have been paid on such inward supplies. So whatever you are purchasing, on that purchases, you are purchasing something, na? Your supplier should pay the tax. Sir, how I will know whether my supplier paid tax or not? How I will know whether my supplier paid tax or not? So that's why they are telling that whatever is reflected in 2A or 2B, which means that your supplier has reported that in the GSTR 1 and has paid. That is the reasonable assumption. Okay. Whether that idiot paid or not, we don't know. But he reported in GSTR 1. If he reports it in GSTR 1, he is paying it. He is going to pay or he has paid it, like that only. So, but when it comes in 2A, happily you take. 2A or 2B, it reflected. What is the reasonable assumption? He will pay. What it? 2A or 2B, it is reflected. What is the reasonable assumption? So, he will pay. Okay. And accordingly, you need to take the credit and utilize. Okay. Sir, he did not pay, sir. That's not my problem, sir. It is his problem. He did not pay. Department will recover from him because he reported in GSTR1. But the real torture is what you know. They will not report in GSTR1. That's the real torture. We cannot take the credit. You understood? Supplier will not be reporting in GSTR1. That's the problem. Which means what is the assumption? He has not paid tax. So we cannot avail the ITC. So that's the meaning of the third point. Tax should have been paid on such supplies to the government. Then should have filed returns. How can we take credit? Without filing return, we cannot take the credit. Sir, there is lots of credit. There is lots of credit in my electronic credit ledger. What is the use of it? What is the use of it? In your books, if you have, what is the use of it? It should come into the electronic credit ledger. Then only it is useful. You understood or not? It is like, there is one person, one boy, who fell in love with one girl, and he is writing lot of love letters and keeping. What is the use when he keeps it? Only when he distributes it to 2-3 people, maybe one will fall in love. Okay, you understood or not? If you keep it, what is the use of it? You understood what I am telling? Like that, if you have in the books, it is of no use. Put it in the return. How much I can put it in the return? Can my lucky number I can put it in the return? Your lucky number, my lucky number and all we cannot put in the return. Only whatever is there in 2A, 2B plus extra 10% only you can put in the return. That will only go to the credit ledger. That can only be used. You understood or not? So you have to file the return. Without filing return, you cannot take the credit. Okay. Without filing return, you cannot take the credit. So should have filed the returns. So what are the 4 additional conditions? Should be in possession of the tax paid documents, should have actually received the goods or services, and the tax on that supplier should have filed, supplier should have paid tax on that inward supply and should file returns. Which return? Which return? GSTR 3B. Should have filed returns. Which return? GSTR 3B. GSTR 3B return. Okay. So that is about this 4 additional conditions. Then 16 subsection 3. If depreciation is calculated on the tax component, then ITC is not available. You understood or not? What is that? Sir, a person purchased an asset for 10 lakhs. A person purchased an asset for 10 lakhs. Okay. So, asset is purchased for 10 lakhs. Asset worth rupees 10 lakhs excluding GST at 12% is purchased. What will be the journal entry for this? Asset account debit. 10 lakhs, asset account debit 10 lakhs, ITC account debit, input tax credit account debit. So it is a receivable, na? We can take the credit. 1,20,000 to, so creditor or supplier, 11,20,000. Now, on what depreciation should be calculated? On 10 lakhs. But depreciation is computed on 11,20,000. Depreciation computed on 11,20,000. Okay. Now, the credit what you have availed is wrong. So you cannot avail this credit. Okay. You cannot avail this credit. So ITC availed needs to be reversed. ITC availed needs to be reversed. Is it clear? Needs to be reversed. What does it mean? Whatever credit we have taken needs to be reversed. What is the reversal entry? Simple. The reversal entry is you will add it to the asset itself. You will add it to the asset itself. So asset account debit 1,20,000 to ITC account. To ITC account 1,20,000. You reverse the ITC. Okay. So that's what it says. If depreciation is computed on the full value including the GST component, credit is not available. If you have already taken, you reverse it. Okay. So this is the reversal entry here. Input tax credit shows a debit balance because it's an asset. When you cancel it, you will credit it and you will inflate the asset value. Now what is the revised value of the asset? 11,20,000. Now you can calculate depreciation on 11,20,000. That's correct. This is given in section 16 subsection 3. ITC not available if depreciation is calculated on the tax component. Then 16 subsection 4. What is the time limit for availment of ITC? So if the invoice is in a financial year, if the invoice is received in a financial year, if the invoice date is falling in this financial year, by 20th October of the succeeding financial year or date of filing, not due date, date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier will be taken as the time limit for availment of ITC. Okay. For example, let's take two situations to understand. So this is an illustration on time limit of availment of ITC. You need to answer this. Okay. Illustration on time limit for availment of ITC. Availment of ITC. Case 1, case 1 and case 2. Invoice date. Invoice date. So invoice date is 23rd September 2019. Whereas case 2 is 4 January 2020. Next. So date of filing annual return. Date of filing annual return. Date of filing annual return is say 25th September 2020. This is by the due date. So whatever is the due date by which we filed the annual return. Now what is the time limit for availment of ITC? Case 1 and case 2. Come on, reply. Time limit for availment of ITC. Time limit for availment of ITC. What is the time limit for availment of ITC? Come on. So what will be taken as the time limit for availment of ITC? Read the provision carefully, you will be able to get it. I want the answer. Make it fast. So 25/9/2020. Yes. What is the financial year for the first case? 1920. 1920. What is the due date of furnishing? What is it? 20th October of the next financial year. So 20th October 2020. 20th October 2020 or date of filing annual return. What is the date of filing annual return? 25/9/2020. Whichever is earlier. That is 25/9/2020 will be taken. Case 2. 20th October of the succeeding financial year. The succeeding financial year is same only. Why? 4/1/2020 will come in financial year 1920 only. So next financial year 20th October same. Or date of filing annual return. What is the date of filing annual return? Due date. What is the due date? 31st December 2020. whichever is earlier, that is 2010 2020. 2010 2020 will be taken. You understood or not? Therefore, what is the logic here? Sir, no idiot on this earth will file return before 20th October. So 99.99% of the cases, 20th October is the time limit for availment of ITC, because everyone will file annual return after that only. Because 31st December annual return means no one will file even on 30th December. They will file on 31st December or later than that only. They will not file before. So whichever is earlier will always be 20th October practically. Okay. So this is the time limit for availment of ITC. Okay. But re-availment of ITC, this time limit is not applicable. So this time limit is not applicable in case of re-availment of ITC. What is re-availment of ITC? First I took the ITC, then I reversed it, and again I am taking. For that no time limit, because already you took the credit. You took the credit, you reversed it, and for re-availment there is no time limit. Okay, you understood or not? For re-availment there is no time limit. It is like, recently I saw some people who are getting married at 40s, 50s and all. They are getting married, even 35, 40s, 50s and all, they are getting married. Now, why people will not tell to them, you are getting married at this age? But when a person crossed 28, people will start asking, when are you going to get married? Okay, 29, 30, not yet got married. You understood? For when you are getting married for the first time, there is a condition. Already married. Now it is second marriage, third marriage or fourth marriage. No restriction. Even 8 years also you can marry. You understood or not? Like that. For the first time availment only, the condition is, already you took the credit, you reverse it, and again you are availing. No time limit. You understood or not? Then that is with respect to this here. So these are the 4 subsections. Section 16 is over. 16.1, 2 basic conditions. Only registered person can avail. It should be used in the course or furtherance of business. That is, used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. 4 additional conditions. You should be in possession of tax paid documents. You should have actually received the goods or services, and the supplier should have paid the tax for that, and you should have filed the returns. Then 16 subsection 3, if you claim depreciation including the tax component, then on the tax component you cannot take ITC. Last time limit for availment of ITC, 20th October of the succeeding financial year, or date of availing ITC, whichever is the date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. And that time limit is not applicable in case of re-availment of ITC. Okay. So section 16 we completed. Now we are going to look into certain FAQs based on this. Okay. Certain FAQs based on this. Have a look into that. What is the tax paid document on the basis of which ITC can be availed? What are the tax paid documents on the basis of which ITC can be availed? You should be in possession of tax paid document. Okay. You should be in possession of tax paid document. Possession of tax paid document means what? You should be having it. Okay. You should be having it here. Sir, you purchased it. True. And supplier paid GST. True. He reported it in GSTR1. True. You received the goods or service. True. It is reflecting in 2A. True. But you don't have the tax paid document, so you cannot avail ITC. I don't understand the logic. When everything is there, it is there in GSTR1 that gets reflected in 2A. Just because I don't have a tax invoice, I cannot take credit. Stupidity, na? You understood or not? Just because I don't have a tax invoice, you cannot take the credit. How come it is? So everything is there. So which idiot created this law, I don't know. But that is really too much. Who will preserve nowadays paper and all? So what people started doing, they asked the suppliers to give e-invoice. Sorry, not e-invoice. Invoice in mail. Okay. Invoice in mail. Scan it and send it so that we will preserve it. Okay. So like that. Tax invoice by supplier to recipient. That is a tax paid document. Number 2. Invoice given by recipient to supplier. Invoice given by recipient to supplier in case of RCM. Invoice given by supplier to recipient generally, and invoice given by recipient to supplier in case of RCM. First, tax invoice. Number 2, debit note. on the basis of debit note also ITC can be availed. What is debit note? Debit note will be given by supplier to recipient whenever the invoice value increases. Very simple. In supplier's books, recipient shows what balance? Debit balance. Debit balance increases, debit note. Debit balance decreases, you will credit. So give a credit note. Okay. So now you are giving a debit note for collecting extra amount. Now on that you collect GST also. The other person can take ITC with respect to the GST paid. Okay. That is a debit note. Then number 4, bill of entry. Bill of entry filed under customs for import of goods. Then input service distributor invoice, ISD invoice. Okay. So here one question is asked, sir, how department will know whether we have invoice or not? They will come and check here. They will come and check whether you have invoice or not. They will come and check. When they come and check, if you don't have invoice, whatever credit you have taken will be cancelled, will be reversed. They will ask you to pay. What it? So you should be in possession of the tax pay document. Usually there is something called as audit, departmental audit. So they will come into our premises and they will be checking all the documents. Then what is this bill of entry? In case of import, we pay along with customs duty IGST. To take that IGST as credit, we file bill of entry with the customs officer. That is also one of the tax paid document. Then input service distributor invoice. What is that input service distributor invoice? There is a head office, darling. That head office will have lot of branches. Now the head office will receive the services, pay GST, and that credit they will distribute to the branches. So that person who do the distribution is known as input service distributor. Okay. So it's known as input service distributor. You understood or not? Sir, instead, the supplier can directly raise invoice to the branch now. How they can raise invoice? Because it is not for one branch, it is to multiple branch service is rendered. All the branches. Now they cannot raise multiple invoices. So they will raise one invoice to the head office. So the head office will take the credit and will distribute the credit. That is input service distributor. While distributing the credit, they will give a ISD invoice. On the basis of that ISD invoice, credit can be availed. Understood or not? So what are the 4 tax paid documents? Tax invoice, debit note, bill of entry and ISD invoice. So important for short note. This is important for short note. Okay. Next. Number 2. When goods or services are not received, but invoice is available, can the ITC be availed? No. Generally ITC cannot be availed, but there is an exception. Example for ISD, ISD actually is not there in your syllabus, but as you are asking ISD example, I will give you. You take this Taj group of hotels. They have hotels in multiple places, correct? They have hotels in Chennai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Mumbai, like that. They have hotels. Now Taj group of hotels is going for wanted an audit to be done. So they appointed Deloitte as their auditor, for example. Now Deloitte is providing services by way of audit, statutory audit services of all the branches, all the hotels. But they will raise invoice to the head office. Their head office is in Maharashtra, Mumbai, Maharashtra. They will raise invoice to the head office. You understood? So now that head office will take the credit and will pass on the credit to all the hotels. Because hotel is only engaged in outward supply, but not head office. Head office will just maintain the records, nothing else. So they will pay and they will pass on the benefit to all the hotels. That is the concept of ISD. Not only this, innumerous example you can take. Say MRF Limited, tire manufacturer. They have lot of factories. So therefore, first they receive some advertisement services. Whatever advertisement services they receive from an ad agency, they will pay GST and they will take it as credit, distribute the credit to all their factories, like that. Whenever there is a head office and branch offices, head office will take the credit and distribute the credit to the branch office. That is a logic, simple logic, okay? Then next. So what is lagging, Abbas Ali? My voice is lagging. You just refresh, you may be getting it. Now, what is it we are going to discuss? Listen carefully. That is, sir, we have got some invoice, but the goods are not received by us. goods are received by some other person. We got the invoice, but the goods are not received by us. The goods are received by some other person. Okay. Now, in that case, can we take ITC? Yes, that is known as bill to ship to model, which is an exception. Which is an exception. Bill to ship to model, which is an exception. What is that? Let's try to understand this. Deemed receipt. Deemed receipt. Deemed receipt. Deemed receipt of goods or services. So what is this deemed receipt? We'll try to understand first. Sir, there is a supplier who is located in Tamil Nadu. There is a supplier who is located in Tamil Nadu. There is a supplier who is located in Tamil Nadu. Now, X Limited, which is located in Karnataka, X Limited, which is located in Karnataka, places order to deliver the goods. Places order to deliver the goods to their customer. Whose customer? X Limited's customer. Okay, who is Y Limited, located in Maharashtra. Okay, so order to deliver goods. Order to deliver to Y Limited. Okay, so who placed the order? X Limited placed the order to deliver the goods to whom? To the Y Limited. Now what supplier will do? So supplier will raise the invoice to whom? Supplier will raise the invoice to X Limited, but has delivered the goods to Y Limited. Simple here. It's not a complicated thing. Generally we do that. Generally we do that. I don't know you do it or not. For example, say, you fell in love with someone. Now what you will do? You want to send a gift. But when you hand over the gift, they will not take. Now what you can do? You can go to Flipkart or Amazon. You can order something and you can do the gift wrapping of it. That option is also there. And you can give their address. Billing address is yours. But you can give their address and the parcel will go there. You understood or not? So, romance during lockdown. So, this can be done. You understood or not? That is bill to ship to transaction. So, Y Limited, without knowing it, so we would have seen it. So, now, supplier will deliver the goods to Y Limited. Supplier will deliver the goods to Y Limited. Deliver goods to Y Limited and raise invoice to X Limited. You understood? So invoice is raised to X Limited. Now, sir, Y Limited received the goods. Y Limited received the goods. Okay. And connecting love everywhere. It's easy to understand. Okay. It's easy to understand. Fine, yeah. So Vijay, I will remember. So it's easy to understand for you. Okay. Then something fishy. When someone is very much interested, when we tell about love and all, which means they fell in love. If they get irritated, means there is a breakup. Okay. So say this. So supplier deliver the goods to Y Limited and invoice is raised to X Limited. Y Limited cannot take credit because Y Limited got the goods but invoice is not there for Y Limited. Okay. X Limited has the invoice but they have not received the goods. Both the conditions should be satisfied as per section 16 subsection 2. You should have the invoice, you should have received the goods. Then only you can take the credit. So therefore, in this case, X Limited got the invoice, but Y Limited got the goods. Now who will take credit? X Limited will take credit. X Limited will avail ITC. How? So the day when Y Limited received the goods, it is deemed that X Limited has also received the goods. The date on which goods are received by Y Limited, the date on which goods are received by Y Limited is deemed to be received by X Limited. Is deemed to be received by X Limited. The date on which goods are received by Y Limited is deemed to be received by X Limited. So now who will avail ITC? So X Limited avails ITC. That is the concept of deemed receipt. This is in the context of goods. Okay. I'll give you another example in the context of services. Okay. Now say this. There is a CA coaching center. Inside Commerce Studies. Okay. If not we, who will promote our coaching center? Correct or not? So inside Commerce Studies, a CA coaching center. Now, there is one student. Okay. So, Mr. Vijay is one student. Lagging. What is this? You are lagging like that you are telling. What is lagging? I don't know here. So Mr. Vijay is a CA final student. Now, he has his auditor. Okay. So his principal measures ABC and Associates is the CA firm. Where Mr. Vijay is doing articles. Now what has happened? Actually, coaching is provided by Inside Commerce Studies to whom? Mr. Vijay. CA coaching is provided to Mr. Vijay. But payment is made by the firm. Possible, sir? Hypothetical, but we will understand. Usually they will not pay and all. So they will extract the work and they will throw them after 3 years. So 3 years bonded labor, cheap labor only. But it's okay. At least in examples, we can see something, okay, which is not possible in reality, correct? So generally we will get some dreams, which will never happen in reality. But it will be so happy to have the dreams. You understood or not? Like that. I will also get many times dreams that all of a sudden, so I have a house and full of money is there in my house, like that and all. I'll get dreams. Will it happen or what? Never it will happen. Like that. So this also will never happen. Why CA firm will pay the fees for that CA student here? Suppose if it happens. Now in this case, coaching is provided to Mr. Vijay. CA coaching is provided to Mr. Vijay, but for which the fees is paid by ABC Associates. Coaching fee is paid by ABC Associates. Now, inside Commerce Studies, like Vijay is asking, sir, you please raise invoice to my principal because he will take credit. Okay. So therefore, inside Commerce Studies raised invoice to ABC Associates. ABC Associates have got the invoice, but they did not receive the service. and Mr. Vijay has received the CA coaching, but invoice is not in his name. Now who will avail ITC? ABC Associates avail ITC. ABC Associates avail ITC. How we are deemed receipt. Whenever the services are rendered to a person on the instructions of the recipient can avail ITC. Here, who is the recipient? ABC Associates is the recipient, they can avail ITC even if the services are provided to Mr. Vijay. Understood or not? Okay. It need not be interstate here. Bill to ship to transactions can be with respect to interstate as well as intrastate. It need not be for interstate. Okay, I just took an example as interstate, but it can be for intrastate. So see this. Generally, ITC cannot be availed, but there is an exception. In case of goods delivered or services provided to a third person on the direction of the registered person deemed to be received by the registered person. Okay. So I gave you two examples. On their instructions, when the goods and services are delivered to a third person, now that registered person has deemed to have received that goods and services and they can take ITC. Then next one, when goods are received in lots, when the ITC can be availed. For example, we placed an order. Say we are a dealer, Royal Enfield bikes. Usually Royal Enfield bikes is having a short supply. Royal Enfield bikes is having a short supply. So many people wanted to buy, but the supply is very less. But now the situation has changed later. Recently, if you see, the situation has changed. But when I purchased my Royal Enfield Classic 350, at that time, I made the payment of advance 5,000 rupees booking amount I paid, and I waited for 3 months to receive it. Yes, I placed order in September and I got it in January. You understood? So 3 months it took. Now and all, hardly 1 week we will be getting it. So now I am a dealer in Royal Enfield bikes. I place an order with the manufacturer for 100 bikes. I made the payment. They gave me the invoice. But they are sending that 100 bikes not in the single lot. First month they are sending 30 bikes. Next month they are sending 30 bikes. And third month they are sending 40 bikes. Now, can we take ITC first month with respect to 30 bikes, second month with respect to 30 bikes, and third month with respect to 40 bikes? No. All 100 bikes we can take ITC only in the third month upon receipt of last lot. But sir, this is too much. Already they got in the first and second month, let them take ITC. If you want that to happen, ask the supplier to raise 3 invoices, not a single invoice. Ask the supplier to raise 3 invoices. He is sending first 30 bikes now, then first invoice for 30 bikes, second invoice for 30 bikes, third invoice for 40 bikes. Now accordingly credit can be taken against a single invoice if the goods are received in lots. Only upon receipt of last lot ITC can be availed. That is this. Then next, what is the consequence if recipient has not made payment to the supplier? So there is one query. Sir, for availment of ITC should be in the course or furtherance of business, right sir? Now CA firm paying for coaching is not business, no sir. Then how CA firm can avail ITC? Good question. He is an article student na? He is an article student, right? So which means he is working for the firm. Articleship, which means he is working for ABC and Associates. So it's a business expenditure. It's a business expenditure in the course or furtherance of business. Why? Maybe he completes CA, he may be working for that firm, and because of that it may be useful for articleship. So many times many students have conveyed this information to me. I'm not boasting, I'm just telling you the fact that because of attending indirect tax classes at CA final level, it is very much useful for them in their articleship. Definitely, because when you learn the provisions, so definitely that will be helpful to you in the articleship. So natural it is, not just my classes. Any donkey also taking indirect tax classes, so the students will get benefit. Okay, I'm not telling because of me only they are like that. Anyone for that matter. So now that may be useful for the business, na? Suppose if Mr. Vijay is not in the articleship over, then it is not in the course or furtherance of business. Okay. Then now for specific bikes it takes more than 90 days. Oh, still the same situation. Super. He will not raise n number of invoices, right, sir? Of course, that's a problem. That's the reason why we have this lots. So they will, you cannot ask them to raise invoices every time. So usually manufacturer will not listen to whatever the dealer says. So typically it is like we place an order, they give an invoice, and against that they will be sending it in a piecemeal basis. Okay. Okay, fine. Now look into the next one. What is the consequence if the recipient has not paid money to supplier? What is that? That is, recipient is not making the payment to the supplier. Now listen carefully. I am the supplier, you are my recipient. I made a supply to you. I raised invoice to you. Now I have to pay GST on accrual basis. GST is not payable on receipt basis. GST is payable on accrual basis. So I raise invoice to you. I need to pay GST. I paid. Now you are taking the credit. You are taking the credit. Government got the GST. You took the credit. Anywhere we have a condition that only when recipient makes payment to supplier, recipient can avail ITC? No. First two conditions, no. Next four conditions also no. Supplier should pay tax to the government is there, but nowhere it is given that recipient should make payment to supplier, then only recipient will take ITC, like that nowhere it is given. So therefore recipient can avail ITC, you availed ITC. Where is my money? Where is my money at? So government is giving me a relief. What is that relief? If the recipient is not making payment to supplier within 180 days from the date of invoice, listen, concentrate. If the recipient is not making payment to the supplier within 180 days from the date of invoice, so much of the credit availed by the recipient will be reversed. So much of the credit availed by the recipient will be reversed, and along with interest at the rate of 18% per annum from the date of availment till the date of reversal. Okay. Fine, sir. Sir, actually, if at all interest needs to be charged, supplier should charge. But government is charging interest when supplier is not getting money. Super concept it is. You understood or not? Now, this aspect we will see with the help of an illustration here. This concept we will see with the help of an illustration. So, please listen. Illustration on payment to be received in 180 days. Illustration on payment to be received in 180 days. What is that? Say for example, there is a supplier. Okay, there is a supplier who is raising invoice to the recipient. Mr. X raised invoice to Mr. Y on 10/6/2020. Mr. X raised invoice to Mr. Y on 10/6/2020 for rupees 1 lakh excluding GST at 18%. Excluding GST at 18%. Okay. Done. Now, what X will do, what Y will do. In this case, what X will do and what Y will do. What Mr. X will do. for June 2020, for June 2020, for June 2020, GST payable to government, GST payable to government, how much? 18,000. GST payable to government 18,000. Okay. So when they will pay? By due date, that is 20th July 2020. Because when they will file GSTR 3B, next month 20th they will file GSTR 3B na. Next month 20th they will file GSTR 3B. So 27/2020 they will be paying the GST. What Mr. Y will do? Mr. Y will avail the ITC for June 2020. For June 2020, ITC of rupees 18,000 availed by 27/2020. Again, how they will avail ITC? They will avail ITC by filing 3B. So that is on 27/2020. Got it? Now, what will happen? Supplier has not got the payment. What is the date by which the payment should be received? So 180th day. What is 180th day from 10/6? See, whenever you have the due date computation, like from that date like that, so don't count that date. So 10/6 don't count. Count the remaining days. Count the other days. Okay. So extra. So in 30, June month 30. 30 minus 10. So 20 days in June. 31 days in July. And then 31 days in August. 30 days in September. 31 days in October. So 31 days in October 143. Then 180. So again September also. Then 7th October, correct? 7th October, please check here. I got 7th October. So Mr. X should receive the payment by 7th October 2021. Is it correct? Sorry, 7th October 2020. Is it correct here? So June 20 days here, July 31 days, August 31 days, September 30 days, October 31 days, okay, then November 30 days, December, so minus 180, December 7th, 7th December. Mr. X not received payment of rupees 1,18,000 by 7th December 2020. By 7th December 2020 payment is not received. That is 180 days from which date? 180 days from 10/6/2020. 180 days from 10/6/2020 not received the payment. Now what X will do? X will not do anything. Okay. It's only Y who will do. So Mr. X, ignore, nothing. Mr. X will not do anything. Okay. Whereas Mr. Y already availed the credit na, that will be reversed. Reversal of ITC. How much availed? 18,000. Now that 18,000 will be reversed. For which month? Reversal of ITC 18,000 for which month? When they came to know, like when the payment is not made within 180 days. So when that expired, when that 180th day is expired, December. for December 2020 by 20th January 2021. Reversal of ITC 18,000 for December 2020 by 20th January 2021. Now, because of this reversal, interest is also payable. Interest is also payable. Okay. What is that interest that is payable? So interest, how much? On 18,000, not on the invoice value, only on the tax component. Only on the tax component, that is 18,000 into 18% into number of days. What is the number of days? From when to when we should calculate? From the date of availment. What is the date of availment? When they took the credit? 27. So 21/7 you calculate. 21/7 you calculate because they took the credit on 27. So from 21/7 till the date of reversal, when they are reversing, 21/2021 they are reversing. 21/2021 they are reversing. For that period, we need to compute interest and pay. We need to compute interest and pay. That is how much? 18,000 into 18,000 into 18% into what is the number of days? 21/7 to 21/2021. 21/7 July 21. You count 21 also. So in July, 11 days in July. Then August 31 days. September 30 days. October 31 days. November 30 days. December 31 days. January 20 days. So 184 days. So 18,000 into 18% into 184 divided by 365 will be coming to 1,633. 1,633. So you count 184 days, not 183 days, 184 days. Count 21st July also. So 1,633 will be the interest that is payable. So we need to reverse ITC 18,000 and we need to pay interest 1,633. Okay. Again, Mr. X received the payment at a later point of time. Mr. X received the payment at a later point of time. Let's see what will happen in that case. Mr. X received payment of rupees 1,18,000 on 15/5/2021. Mr. X received payment of 1,18,000 on 15/5/2021 from Mr. Y. Now what Mr. X will do? Mr. X will just recognize that payment received. Okay. Recognize in books. Recognize payment received in books. Simple. Payment received in books. But what Mr. Y will do? Already he reversed the ITC na. He can take that as ITC. Mr. Y can avail ITC. Avail ITC of 18,000 or 18,000 plus 1,633. 18,000 or 18,000 plus 1,633. Only 18,000. Only 18,000. Not 18,000 plus 1,633. Only 18,000. Avail ITC of 18,000. When? For which month they paid? May 2021. For May 2021 by 20th June 2021. By 20th June 2021. Literally, what is loss? First they took 18. They reversed 18. Again they are taking 18. So literally loss is what? So conclusion. Non-payment of consideration within 180 days non-payment of consideration within 180 days, non-payment of consideration within 180 days, 180 days leads to, non-payment of consideration within 180 days leads to what? Leads to payment of interest. That is the only loss. Payment of interest of rupees 1,633. 1,633. This is the only loss. Understood the question? Understood the answer related to this? Got the clarity of the provision? Now, few doubts you might be having. Sir, how government will know whether the recipient is making payment to the supplier within 180 days or not? Government will not know. It is a voluntary exercise to be done by the recipient. So, recipient voluntarily should keep track of whether the payment is made within 180 days or not, and recipient should reverse the ITC accordingly. But sir, recipient will not do that. When recipient is not doing that and department comes to know that in future doing audit, they will be asking them to pay interest and penalty also, extra penalty also will come. So if the recipient is not doing it, then GST department may identify that in future. At that time they will be collecting interest and penalty. You understood or not? Then next, another doubt. This is the first doubt. Second doubt. Sir, recipient got the credit period which is more than 180 days, sir. Supplier gave a credit period more than 180 days. So recipient will not make payment to the supplier within 180 days. Then what we need to do? Then also we need to do the same, because the credit period cannot be more than 180 days as per GST law. As per GST law, the credit period that is to be given by the supplier to recipient cannot be more than 180 days. If the credit period is for more than 180 days, then also this 180 days point will be applicable. The recipient has to reverse the ITC and pay interest, and again ITC can be availed as and when the payment is made. Okay. Then next, non-applicability of these provisions, very important. So this 180 days condition is not applicable in these three cases. Sir, isn't it reavailment of ITC, so there will be no time limit? No sir, exactly. So here avail ITC is there na, actually it is reavail ITC. Reavail ITC and there is no time limit, boss. Reavail ITC. So why I am writing reavail, you know, so that you will know that there is no time limit. Okay. Reavail ITC of rupees 18,000. So there is no time limit. You can avail any time. And exceptions to this, that is, in these three cases, you cannot take ITC. Sorry, 180 days point is not applicable. First, when the supply itself is without consideration, where from recipient will pay consideration to the supplier. So 7(1)(c), when the transaction is covered under 7(1)(c), so it is not applicable. When the transaction is covered under section 7(1)(c), 180 days condition not applicable. Then, when liability to pay GST is on the recipient under RCM, when recipient is required to pay GST under RCM, then also this 180 days condition is not applicable. 9(3) and 9(4). Recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM because the liability is on recipient only, na? So 180 days condition not applicable. Then recipient is making the payment to some other person on behalf of the supplier. Supplier is not receiving it. Some other person on behalf of supplier. Section 15(2)(b). In valuation we would have discussed. Recipient making payment. Supplier has to make a payment which is paid by the recipient on behalf of the supplier. So in that case also, supplier is not getting that money, but it is included in the value on which GST is paid by the recipient and availed as ITC. Now the recipient is not making payment. For example, the value is 10 lakhs per, but recipient gave 8 lakhs to me and 2 lakhs to some other person. Now I received only 8 lakhs. Then to the extent of 2 lakhs, should they reverse the ITC? No need, because this 180 days condition is not applicable in that case also. That is, supplier liability paid by the recipient. Recipient is not making payment to the supplier, then also So 180 days condition is not applicable. These are the 3 exceptions where 180 days condition is not applicable. Very, very important. Okay. Then next one. What is the meaning of invert supplies on which ITC is available? Already I told you invert supplies means what? So capital goods means goods which are capitalized in the books, inputs and input services. Input services means any service received. Okay. What are the consequences? What are the contents of invoice for availing ITC? So this is also one important short note question here. One important short note question. It can be asked for short note, that is, what are the minimum contents that should be there in invoice so that you can take ITC on the basis of that invoice? Any document will be treated as invoice if it contains minimum details. What are they? GSTN of the supplier, GSTN of the recipient, then next description of the goods or services, value and tax payable. Okay, value and tax payable. See that. The amount of tax charged, description of the goods, value, GSTN of the supplier and the recipient, and extra place of supply if it is an interstate supply. These are the minimum details that should be there in a paper, in a document. Then the document will be called as invoice, on the basis of which recipient can avail ITC. I'll tell you one example. So I wanted to give some gifts to my staff and my clients, etc. during Diwali. So what I did, I went to one nuts and spices store. So I wanted to give a gift pack of dry fruits. So badam, cashew nuts, dates, etc. Like some quantity as a gift pack I wanted to give on the occasion of Diwali. So I went to nuts and spices. One shop is there in Chennai. And I made a purchase. And when I made a purchase, some 50 packets I purchased. And each packet is somewhere 500 rupees each packet. Some 50 packets I purchased. And on that, GST is also there. GST is also there, 12%. Now I asked them to give a GST invoice. I shared my GSTIN details. They have mentioned that GSTIN in the invoice and they gave. You know how the invoice was? Just a small slip. So generally when you buy in some supermarkets, they will give a slip, that slip. Only extra is that in that slip GSTIN of the recipient, my GSTIN is there. Will that be taken as a document for availment of ITC? Yes. Yes. Because it contains GSTIN of supplier, GSTIN of the recipient, description of the goods, value is there, tax is there. So I can take ITC on that. Okay. So, sir, but in supermarkets when we go, there also they will give slip, some small bill. On that also can we take ITC? No, because that will usually not contain the GSTIN of the recipient. If you request, they will mention the GSTIN of you and they will be giving so that the recipient can take ITC. Okay. So with this, we completed section 16 here. We completed section 16. Okay. Sir, harmonized system of nomenclature for goods and service accounting code for services, all those are not required in the invoice to take ITC. See, these are all to be there in the invoice. Generally, as per the tax invoice section 31, these details should be there. But even if the details are not there, still the recipient can take ITC. Supplier not giving the details, supplier will be required to pay some penalty. Supplier not giving the details, supplier is required to say pay some penalty. But what mistake recipient did? So recipient can take ITC. What recipient should check is that these minimum details, if there in the document, on that recipient can take ITC. That's one important or very good update, so that recipient is not required to get trouble because of not reporting few details by the supplier. Okay. Done. So that is with respect to this. Okay. Now we have two more sections, section 17 and section 18. Section 17 deals with blocked credits, apportionment of credit and blocked credits. That is given in section 17. And in that 17, I am first starting with blocked credits, and then I'll come back to this. Okay. So look into blocked credits here. Look into blocked credits. which you can see in page number 184. In page number 184, you can see blocked credits. Blocked credits. So what is this blocked credits mean? Sir, there are some inward supplies. On that inward supplies, you cannot avail ITC. That is known as blocked credits. Okay. First, related to motor vehicles, we have some blocked credits. What is that? Motor vehicles. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Is there HSN code applicable for export of goods also? Yes. Yes. Fine. So see this, motor vehicles related blocked credit. Motor vehicles are broadly divided into three. Motor vehicles for transportation of persons. What will come? Car, jeep, truck, car, jeep, then tempo travelers, bus, minibus, two-wheelers, all these will come under motor vehicle for transportation of persons. Second motor vehicle is vessels and aircrafts. Vessels and aircrafts and any other motor vehicles. Okay. Now, first motor vehicles. Motor vehicle for transportation of persons is further divided into two. That is, capacity does not exceed 13. Capacity exceed 13. Is it including driver or excluding driver? Including driver. That 13 is including driver. Okay. That 13 is including driver. Including driver. That capacity is including driver. Including driver. So capacity does not exceed 13 including driver. Capacity exceeds 13. If the capacity exceeds 13, ITC availability is not a blocked credit. If the capacity exceeds 13, ITC availability is not a blocked credit. Understood or not? If the capacity does not exceed 13, then in three cases, ITC is available. What are they? If that motor vehicle is held as stock in trade or used for further supply. Held as stock in trade, you just remember it as further supply. You just remember it as further supply. Number two, okay, used in the business of transportation of passengers. So 5 more minutes here, I'll complete. With this concept, I'll complete. With this motor vehicle chart, I'll complete, so concentrate. So used in the business of transportation of passengers or driving schools. These are the three cases ITC is available. So I purchase motor vehicle, capacity does not exceed 13 is a blocked credit. But in 3 cases ITC is available. What are they? If that is used for further supply, means I am purchasing and selling motor vehicles, I can take ITC. Or I am using that motor vehicles in the business of transportation of passengers, or I am using it in the business of imparting driving skills. Driving schools, ITC is available. Any other case, ITC not available. Okay. Now, let's try to understand this with the help of few examples here. Now you need to answer that. Listen carefully, concentrate and then answer. There is a chartered accountant who purchased a car in the name of the business, CA firm. In the name of his firm, he purchased a car used in the business, used for the business purpose. Can he take ITC with respect to the car purchased? Yes or no? There is a chartered accountant. In the name of his business, he purchased a car, and that car is used in this business for his business purpose. Can he take ITC with respect to the car purchased? Yes or no? Car purchased. Purely it is used for business purpose. Can he take ITC with respect to the car purchased? First, it is motor vehicle for transporting persons. Capacity does not exceed 13. Yes, car capacity does not exceed 13. Is it coming in the exception? No. Is it for further supply? No. Second, is it in the business of transportation of passengers? No. Is it for imparting driving skills? No. Therefore, ITC not available on the car purchased. ITC not available on the car purchased. Why ITC not available on the car purchased? Because it is, even though used in the course or furtherance of business, but here it is a blocked credit, so ITC not available. Then Another example, concentrate. There is one person who purchased a car and listed it with Uber for transportation of passengers. Can he take ITC with respect to car purchased? Can he take ITC with respect to car purchased? A person purchased a car and listed it with Uber for transportation of passengers. Can he take ITC with respect to the car purchased? Yes or no? Can he take ITC with respect to car purchased? Yes. How he can take ITC with respect to car purchased? First, car capacity does not exceed 13 and used in the business of transportation of passengers. So therefore, it is eligible for ITC. Like that we should interpret. Okay, fine. So what I will do, I am discussing this, don't worry. I will give you one assignment tomorrow. So tomorrow I will be giving you one assignment. I will discuss block the credits completely and I will give you one assignment wherein you need to answer whether ITC is available or not available. I will give you some situations. Okay. So that's a homework for you. You need to do that, not today, tomorrow. Because I have not completed the blocked credits fully, but I will be completing it tomorrow itself and I will be giving you one assignment. You need to try that. Okay. Now, vessels and aircrafts. For vessels and aircrafts, we have 4 exceptions. In all other cases, ITC not available. What are those 4 exceptions? These 3 exceptions are same even for vessels and aircrafts. It is held as stock in trade, used in the business of transportation of passengers, driving schools, are used for transportation of goods. What is extra? Used for transportation of goods. For example, if you take this first flight couriers, Blue Dart, etc., they will be purchasing an aircraft for transporting goods. Can they take ITC with respect to that? Yes. Suppose if Indigo Airlines purchase an aircraft for use it in the business of transportation of passengers, can they take ITC with respect to aircraft purchased? Yes. Suppose if a company purchases an aircraft for transporting its directors, they cannot take ITC because it is not there in the exception. Okay. So same as those 3 exceptions, extra 1 point, transportation of goods. Then in all other cases, all other motor vehicles, ITC available. What are all other motor vehicles? Motor vehicles for transportation of goods is not there in this too. What is that? Truck, then lorry, bulldozer, then procliner, road roller, all these things. Okay, so ITC available. Okay, sir, ambulance, why ITC available? Ambulance is for transportation of persons. No, ambulance is not for transportation of persons. Ambulance is designed to provide first aid during the travel. It is not for transportation of persons. Not that ambulance driver will be starting in every bus stop and he will be loading the passengers and dropping them. It is not a share auto. You understood or not? So therefore, mainly for providing the first aid during the travel, that ambulance is there. It is not for transportation of persons. It will come under other motor vehicles and ITC is available in this case. This is the motor vehicle related point here. You understood or not? Then we have one more also related to that. That is repairs and maintenance, etc. It's okay. That we will see in the next class. So tomorrow agenda is that today we saw section 16 and I started with section 17 blocked credits. So tomorrow we are going to complete the blocked credits and then apportionment of credit also tomorrow it will be over and then section 18. Okay, with that we will be completing input tax credit and then we can move on to the next topic. Is it clear? Sir, corporation vehicles, yes, corporation vehicles also they can take ITC. It will come under other motor vehicles. Okay, thank you. And yes, today's notes I will upload. Today's notes and even notes related to value of supply. That also I will upload, don't worry. So today is day 9. Okay, thank you. Thank you.